Welcome back to Cityline. Joining us now from Safe Streets is Dr. Priscilla Lisich, and she is the Executive Director of Safe Streets, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to talk with you, spend a little time. Thank you.
Excellent. So Safe Streets is celebrating National Night Out again on August 2nd with the goal of celebrating your neighbors and building stronger communities. Tell us about the event.
Well, National Night Out has been going on since the late 80s, and at first Tacoma Public Utilities used to sponsor it, and then when Safe Streets was born, they started working with us and eventually said, you know, you really should be the organizers. And it's a national event that is held in many communities across the nation. And you work with a national group called Town Watch. So we always register, and then we, let them know what we're doing. Locally here, it is a very great event. We have this year, over 50 parties registered. There's probably more parties going on. Sometimes people don't always register. And they go from the hilltop to out Prairie Ridge, way out in the east, Pierce County, out to the Key Peninsula, and all over Tacoma. So if you drive around on August 2nd, you will see little parties gathering of neighbors, connecting with each other. But we also provide the list to law enforcement and the fire department and code enforcement, other government services, the mayor, elected officials, so they can go around and meet neighbors and talk with them about the importance of people being engaged in their communities and creating a positive presence. So there's large parties, small parties. One of the people who, our first registrant this year is May Harris, who's gonna hold a party right down the street here at People Center. It's gonna be a big one. So if you wanna stop by, May always makes sure there's lots of food and fun things for people to do, especially young people.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, how did National Night Out get its start?
Well, I think, it really grew out of the idea that law enforcement needed to build positive community relations over the years. And that was way back in the drug war days. And so it just kind of, I think, caught on. It's actually promoted as healthy police community partnerships. We include everybody else and try to get behavioral health services out visiting folks. So, but that, it really, I think, grew out of that idea, through the federal government. And then there was this group called Town Watch that started it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how did Safe Streets get involved with the event?
With the event, we first worked on it with Tacoma Public Utilities, and then they saw the great outreach that we do with engaging neighbors right at that, grassroots neighborhood level. So they realized that instead of promoting one big event in the community, that we could have lots of small events and really achieve the goal of getting neighbors to get to know each other, be positive toward each other, and and many times people will have a party on National Night Out, and then they realize that it might be good if they organize their group, and we'll follow up with them and help them to get organized so they can have a neighborhood presence. And I use the word neighborhood watch, but I use that really carefully because it's not about spying on your neighbors. It's about being aware of what is going on in your neighborhood and working together to make sure that, we promote safe activities, safe places for families and children. People want to take their children out walking in the evening, take their dog for a walk. That is what we're trying to achieve, and get people talking with each other about what safety means to them, because
right.
We all have kind of a different view. And the key, I think, is creating that neighborhood presence. And it isn't just up to law enforcement to make sure we have a safe community. It's up to me. It's up to me in my neighborhood. It's up to you in your neighborhood. And we go home to different places every night, And so being aware and connected to your neighbors is really key. So we took that idea of the National Night Out once a year, and we really promote monthly gatherings, people getting together, talking with each other, connecting them with important resources like law enforcement and code enforcement and behavioral health services. I was at a meeting not too long ago, and people were talking about what are we doing to help people experiencing homelessness. And it's on the minds of everybody, and people are very compassionate and want to help. So we're trying to connect them more with behavioral health services that can really help people deal with the barriers that they face when they're facing homelessness. So, we get into work like that. We are not solving the homelessness problem. We're working with everybody who's working on it, but it's important to have community members be engaged and aware and think about what they might be able to do to help with those issues.
Excellent. So Safe Streets was one of the organizations to be awarded an Elevate Health's 2022 Community-Based Care Coordination Community Health Worker Funding Request.
Wow.
What does that mean to our community? Please.
I love it. Elevate Health is the manager of what's called Accountable Communities of Health, which are dollars that go into the community to really help people who are struggling with low income, poverty, needing to get food, all sorts of things, but living in unhealthy conditions. And so we were awarded funds to be able to focus our effort on South Tacoma. And there are very high poverty rates in South Tacoma and conditions that people are struggling with. So our job is to reach out to those folks and start to engage them by understanding what kind of behavioral health needs they have, what kind of living conditions they're in, how can we help, those folks be able to get to services that can really support them to address the problems that they're having. So we're using our Elevate Health contacted us and said, your approach of community engagement, it can be a plus. We could work together. So we put our proposal together and they funded it, and we're very excited about this. It's going to be a small start, and but there are many communities that have these similar conditions across the county. So we hope that we'll be able to make a positive contribution, helping people get to services and be able to help their children, either be in childcare or get to other services that will help children to get to school. And so we're, and also positive alternatives, positive activities for kids right out there in neighborhoods. And of course, in South Tacoma, there's a residential area, there's the Star Center, there's a Boys and Girls Club, but access to those services sometimes is limited. So we're going to be working on trying to figure out how we can help those folks bring services, to them.
Great.
Yeah.
So your Power of Community event is coming up.
Yep.
What can we expect at that event?
That is an event to, it's a benefit, and it's an event to celebrate all the work of Safe Streets, and the event title is Power of Community, and we want to really focus on what the community has done over all these 33 years of existence in Safe Streets. From the very beginning to now, the importance of getting people up out of their chairs and out into the neighborhood and being aware of what's going on, but all the positive projects. We have neighbors not only fight crime, but they think about what can we do to really impact positive conditions in the neighborhood. So for example, we're working in partnership with the Metro Parks and their project and the Rotary Clubs, I guess, have now joined, and their projects to bring green space to many of our elementary schools. So Helen B. Safford, our neighbors, have been real involved in promoting, getting that green space in and bringing neighborhood voice to talk about what's really important to them. Jenny Reed Elementary School is another area, Whitman Elementary School, and so we're working in several areas to improve park conditions or increase access to green space. If you drive through some areas in our community, sometimes it's astonishing to me that there's not a lot of green space, and there might be a lot of apartments, but where do children play? Where do families gather? Where can, people kind of, in this hot weather, where can you sit under a shady tree and be in a park or whatever? So it's an exciting partnership that we're doing with Metro Parks and the schools, and trying to promote more green space and create and impact the environment. So, and another example of a really great power of community story is Blueberry Park. We have a neighborhood group who's taken responsibility for Blueberry Park, and they clean up the park every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. If you want to get together with your neighbors, you show up at 9 a.m. And I'm serious. I was out there on a snowy morning in December, and it was freezing cold, and we're cleaning up the park. They have created a huge community garden that helps people in that neighborhood get fresh food.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, we've run out of time, Priscilla. It's been a pleasure having you on Cityline
you.
once again, and I want to be one of the first to thank you for all your efforts over the years with Safe Streets.
Thank
and
you.
I know some changes are ahead, but we really appreciate you coming on and being our partner in getting the information out and working in the city of Tacoma. So
Well,
thanks again.
thank you
for
very
joining us.
much, and thank you for your partnership in helping the community understand so many cool projects.
Well, we appreciate it. We'll be back on Cityline with Monique Simkova from the Hilltop Artists. Stay with us.